by the dawn's early light, what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets reclaim the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave for the land of the free and the home of the
The anthem has been sung, and most of them are still standing in enthusiasm, anticipating the start of this one. He's the guy, the 18th straight start for Vincent Riendo. He bounced back against Detroit. He had a humiliation there. We'll see if he can bounce back tonight from one.
John Casey hasn't had to bounce back from anything. His 20th straight playoff start for the North Stars, that goes back to 1989.
Ron Hogarth is the guy who will skate the 7 miles tonight and wear the armbands. Wayne Bonney and Ron Asseltine are the linesmen. The standby official, Terry Gregson. The off-ice officials are from Detroit. Again, it is the McRae, Bureau, and Churla line starting for Minnesota as Casey seals off the first attempt, wedge to him off the stick of Brindamore.
The Blues have to find a way to test John Casey early. I think the lead will be more important in this game than in any other game. Rod Brindamore this time tried to cut around Mark Tenorti, tried a little shovel pass in front, but Dahlquist had his man, Tenorti took his man. Pretty harmless. You know, you're talking about a confident Minnesota team and a team in St. Louis that I think really lacks confidence, Mike. You put the lead on the St. Louis board, the side of the board, and it becomes very crucial, I think, to the St. Louis Blues. So more than any game in this series, the lead will be a huge factor.
Puck punched back out again by Dahlquist. He started with Tenorti on defense. Mahar, Brindamore, Gino Cavallini is the line that Brian Sutter has started with. They're still out with Butcher and Paul Cavallini. Gino Cavallini bounces one in that skips off of Casey. Flip back out again. And fresh from the bench, Tomlinson saw it skate by. Going back to play this one now is Paul Cavallini, and they rule this was an icing, and the fans here booing because they felt that Tomlinson, among others, could have played.
Only one lineup change tonight for the Blues. Brian Sutter has pulled Harold Sneps out, and he has reinserted Mario Marois. Not a major change. He still has his core players healthy, intact, ready to go. He was just as optimistic this morning as he is every morning.
If the Blues could get the first one, they could help take the crowd out of it. And if the first one were a power play goal, that would be cement blocks lifted from the power play unit's shoulders. Bobby Smith in for the face-off, opposite Bob Bassett. Puck picked up by Chambers. Handed back up for Smith. Has Bellows on one side, Gavin on the other. Bobby Smith pulls away, checked off by Brett Hull, and it's brought right back out by Brown and turned on for Tomlinson. Hull and Oates are not together right now. Puck dumped along, Gavin able to scoop it back out. Nice move by Bellows. Tied up by Jeff Brown, a drive, score! Again, the first goal. Again, it's early. North Stars 1-0.
Out of the zone. The North Stars have not panicked at all in this series, but watch this. Scott Stevens pinches up on the play. Brian Bellows goes by him. Jeff Brown decided to stand back and try to block, and wide to the long side on Riendo. A blast enters the net. Brian Bellows has scored here to give the North Stars a 1-0 lead. We've only played a minute and 12 seconds. Scott Stevens has to be talking to himself. He did that same move in Game 3 on a power play, and Bellows beat him to Gagne. Gagne passed to Prop, and the North Stars scored on that one too. When the Blues make mistakes, they're getting burnt now. That's a sign of a team that really is struggling confidence-wise.
8 straight first goals in the playoffs for Minnesota, and in this series, the latest first goal they've scored was in the last game, and that was under 4 minutes in. Bellows gets his 7th at 1:12.
No lineup changes for Bob Gainey, and why would you even toy with the idea of making any? Outstanding performance by his guys here in Game 3. Brian Bellows with his 7th goal of the playoffs. Add 9 assists to that. 16 points now for Brian Bellows in the playoffs. 14 was his best career year in the playoffs, so he's blown by that, and this is only the second round.
Gavin and Glenn get the assists on Bellows' goal. Kurt Giles back to play on defense, matched up with Wilkinson, and up front now the North Stars go with Neil Broughton. On the left side it is Gaetan Duchesne, and on the right it is Mike Craig. Puck chopped back in by Mario Marois, taken by Giles once more. Kurt Giles with a pass on the money for Duchesne. Broughton headmans to Craig, picks up Wilkinson, the drop to Wilkinson, and getting a stick on that Riendo. Good hit applied by Duchesne. Puck to Broughton, nudges to Wilkinson, fires, and a stick save. Rebound, and hanging on is Riendo. A shove by Craig. A little more coming from Marois. Duchesne moves in.
Oh, the Blues have to be careful here, Mike. They're a frustrated hockey team. Richie Sutter exploded after Game 3 in the locker room. He said, you know what? We played like Chicago did against Minnesota. We cost ourselves taking undisciplined penalties. The North Stars on the attack again. Mike Craig had it poked off his stick and went right to Neil Wilkinson. Everything's working for the North Stars. Riendo had to make a save. It ended up going into the corner, back to Wilkinson for another shot. Duchesne was held off to the side. All North Stars so far. So the North Stars lead in this tilt. They scored with a minute and 12 seconds gone in this game. So far in the last 6 games the North Stars have played, excluding tonight, 277 minutes and change. They have had the lead. The other guys, including the Blues in this case and the Blackhawks in their series, 12 minutes and 5 seconds. An incredible stat. The North Stars have gotten very comfortable with the lead.
Off the face-off, puck tangled up in the corner to a side. Puck worked on back and floated wide. Craig and Marois got roughing minors at the 2:07 mark. Back down and skip. Dahlquist back to touch it. The signal is icing. The call is icing. 17:32 to go in the first. The North Stars on Bellows' 7th goal, lead in the game, 1-0.
Their power play isn't working. Minnesota's power play is, so that means that the penalty killing unit hasn't had anything to build on. Something has to happen that's positive for the St. Louis Blues. It's been all negative, and you go back to the beginning of the playoffs this season. Other than Brett Hull and Adam Ozen, their success against the Detroit Red Wings, not much to cheer about.
You might think in terms of establishing the hitting game, but that's a little hard to do when you drop behind. And the North Stars have been doing most of the hitting, although Lowry plowed into Dahlquist just there. Gagne able to kick it back in, and pivoting with this is Paul Cavallini. Away from the hook check of Modano. Paul Cavallini floats it back down. Dahlquist will go to get it. This time there'll be no icing. If you're just joining us, 17:05 to go in the first period. The North Stars have outshot the Blues 4-2, and on a goal by Brian Bellows, lead 1-0. Gavin for Modano. Score!
Modano has given the North Stars a 2-0 lead. Gorgeous little drop pass from Stu Gavin. Everything's working for Minnesota. That deflected off Paul Cavallini up over the shoulder of Vincent Riendo. If you haven't cast your vote yet for this year's Team of Destiny, Now might be the time. The Blues will tell you there's a lot of hockey left to play, but the North Stars are on some kind of roll right now.
Bill, so often in the playoffs that we've worked together, you've spoken about a zone, not the neutral or attacker defending, but the danger zone. St. Louis is in it.
They are absolutely in a danger zone, and I'll tell you why. Their special teams are hurting. Vincent Riendo is hurting. Their confidence is hurting, and to me, when that happens to a team, they have to play to their potential or better to win. Now, the same goes for the North Stars. They have all of those things working for them. The North Stars at this stage of the playoffs could probably be outplayed and still win a hockey game. The Blues can't afford that. They're definitely in a danger zone. They need all of their potential and more the way the North Stars are rolling.
Modano his second. At 3:02, Gavin and Dahlquist get the assist. And the North Stars with a 2-1 lead in the series have a 2-0 lead. Still very early in this game. Stevens stepped into Rich Sutter, has a man in front. Tomlinson tries to get a shot and can. And then it pinballed wide. Tomlinson was there by himself for the longest time. But the Blues did not get a break on that one, caroming off his skate. Puck lifted back out by Jeff Brown. Headed back to get it. Chambers matched up with Brian Glenn on defense. 16:30 to go in the first. 2-0 Minnesota ahead. Chambers got some help from Churla, but the play made across for Oates and off his stick. To the corner goes Oates. Plays it behind, but it's left behind by Sutter. Picked up and ragged along and then dropped back for Rich Sutter. Has Oates in front. Can't get it to him, denied by Brian Glenn. Pinching in is Stevens. Rushing to him is Churla. Cut him off, but the pass is floated back down. This time, icing will be called against the North Stars. And the big scoreboard clock will stop with 15:58 to go in the first. 2-0 Minnesota.
Traded all the way in. He put it back to Rich Sutter, and as he was coming around, wait a second, I was going to give Brian Glenn the big pat on the back. That was John Casey himself. We've talked about his aggressive style. I thought that Brian Glenn had tipped that away. You have to help yourself, and Casey does that as well as anybody right now.
When you're good and when you're hot, and Casey is both. The poke check is one of the many tools in your arsenal that works, and it just works splendidly, especially in the games here in Minnesota for John Casey. Puck fed across. Watching was Bellows as it came over for Paul Cavallini. Tried for brother Gino. And ahead now comes Rick Mahar. Mahar flung one across, and Casey the calm tap. Butcher had it poked away by Brian Propp. Then it's sent ahead for Propp, who moves out with Brian Bellows. Propp in, but the pass is shoveled back out by Gino Cavallini. Dug out by Propp, though. Onside play, dropping it back in deep. The Blues control. They have a deficit to make up. And Bellows with a shot that is blocked off by Riendo, and Bellows nearly got the rebound, too. And so the Blues reeling back in their own zone, too. Dahlquist a shot, and that went off Riendo. Rebound! They pulled away on it, and it's sent wide by Bobby Smith to the corner. Dahlquist hit by Gino Cavallini. There'll be a penalty coming up. The North Stars with the red-hot power play will get a chance to go out on it and widen their lead, which is now 2-0. Let's pause for this regional break. You're watching the noisy Stanley Cup playoffs on Sports Channel.
Okay, ready. Vincent Riendo has let in two, but he has just come up big on this last sequence. Brian Bellows should have made this a 3-0 hockey game. Right there. He shot. Riendo, I don't think, saw it. It hit his pad. Right after that, Gino Cavallini trying to get it going. Got the elbow up high on Chris Dahlquist, so the North Stars are on the power here. 5:04 gone in the first.
Gagne with Propp and Bellows to the back to Tenorti. The other man in back is Broughton, and he has this one on the bounce off his glove, trying to keep it away from Rich Sutter, but it's turned by Propp. To the back now for Bellows. Looks over to Gagne, then swings a prayer off the glass for him. Right to it, though, went Broughton, though it kicked over for Marois. Can't clear. Good keep by Tenorti. Dumping it behind. Scott Stevens tries the other side. Bellows with a keep again. Rich Sutter pivoting with it. Wedged to the corner by Broughton. The Blues try again. Bellows answers again. Tenorti fires. Save. Rebound. In front and squirted wide as Propp had a whack at it. Turning with it is Broughton. To the back to Tenorti. Shovels one. The kick to Broughton at the slot. Has to pivot away, though. Not even halfway through the power play yet. Controlling this is Bellows. Tenorti again. Then back to Bellows. Across to Broughton. Van yelling shoot, but he doesn't. It's Tenorti. Tried for Gagne, but it's read by Stevens and started ahead for Rich Sutter.
There are a lot of seams that are open in that St. Louis Blues penalty killing unit. That's not one of them. Mark Tenorti tried that diagonal seam pass in deep. That's the only one that isn't there.
Mahar went down and is late getting back on this play. The North Stars rush it in. Tenorti had trouble, though. Two Blues converge, and Paul Cavallini tried to clear but couldn't. Cavallini again, but keeping his Madonna. Over for a shot by Glenn that went wide. Digging it out as Prop. Tried to finesse one in front, but Dave Lowry starts right up the middle of the ice with it. 30 seconds still for the Blues to kill, and Lowry a shot that went off of Glenn. Harmlessly around for Madonna. Gets help from Bobby Smith. 13:20 to go in the first period. 8 shots Minnesota, 4 St. Louis. The North Stars on the power play. Lead 2-0. Madonna can't get by. Bobby Smith has it. Points it on for Glenn with a drive. Snagged and held by Riendo. First a big goal up from the crowd, and then another standing ovation.
If this doesn't look like a confident power play, it sure should. All kinds of puck movement. People seem to be more open when you have a confident power play. Mike Modano in this rush bogged down. Puck went right to Bobby Smith. Back to Brian Glynn. There was a bit of a screen this time. A moment ago, Brian Glynn took a shot that was completely unscreened. You can't let the crowd get you really too carried away. You got to make sure there are people in front to screen. Brian Prop here trying a deflection in front of Riendo. He made a good save. Riendo has come on strong after a couple that got by him early.
Riendo peering out at this face-off with 13 seconds still for St. Louis to kill off on the minor penalty to Gino Cavallini. Bobby Smith wins it on back. Worked by Glenn. Along for Craig, who went down. Hooked one that came from Modano, and a shot went off the pad of Riendo. Hull behind, and Stevens blasts it back down the ice. Out of the penalty box comes Gino Cavallini, and the North Stars take over with the teams at full strength. Bellows his 7th, Modano his 2nd. Minnesota leading 2-0 with 12:45 to go in the first period. Casey taps, and it's taken by Sean Chambers. Bobby Smith shovels it across. Mike Craig still able to handle, though, and then Smith helped out. Took a little shove from Scott Stevens. Jeff Brown pivots back in his own end of the ice and starts it back ahead. Big shot from 90 feet. Went wide. Rebound poked away from Gino Cavallini, but kept alive for another shot on goal by Stevens. They dump it back off, and Mark Bureau up with it. Bureau just guided it back to the St. Louis line, where Scott Stevens can take over. On the turning stick of Adam Oates. He's not been out with Brett Hall that much tonight, but the two are out there together right now.
You know who else is out there? Stu Gavin, and boy, is he staying close to Brett Hall.
It's Giles back. Hall after him, but preoccupied with Glenn. Glenn watching as Hall centers. Gino Cavallini couldn't tee it up, and it's Churla starting back up ice for Minnesota. Shane Churla able to pull away and just drove one back down. There'll be an icing call here, and the clock stops with 11:45 to go in the first period from the Met Sports Center. The North Stars 2 and the Blues 0.
Sure helped St. Louis's cause if a guy like Gino Cavallini could get into the scoring act. He's out there with Hull and Oates on this play. Right in front, Brett Hall puts it out to him. Had to pick it up off the skate. Now Gavin is following Hull around very closely, but when the North Stars get possession of the puck, he leaves him, gets into an offensive position. The North Stars committed 2 turnovers on that sequence, and that's why Gavin wasn't beside Hull. Turnovers is the one thing that can kill Minnesota in their own end once Gavin leaves Hull.
And the Blues have gotten at least some reward, though not in goal form, from forechecking the North Stars when they shift from defense to offense. Modano's pass went off of Featherstone. Brindamore after it, but Gagne took the hit after he'd released it back for Mark Tenorti. Tenorti's pass went through Glenn Featherstone and back down. They say icing here, but Riendo has to play it himself as hustling in was Prop. Thrown to the front! Madonna was shot! He scored! And it counts!
The North Stars have gone up 3-0. Mike Modano's 2nd goal of the game. Vincent Riendo to wave off the icing right around the boards, right to a North Star, to a crowd in front. The net was coming off its moorings. That looked like it went in on Vincent Riendo's mask. Brian Propp was being pushed in by Glenn Featherstone. And Mike Modano, as the net was being pushed off of its pegs, scores. It doesn't matter if the net is coming off as the puck is going in. It's a new rule this year. The referee can rule that it counts. I don't think Ron Hogarth was sure, but Ron Asseltine sure was. He signaled it right away to help out.
Concentrating on the next line, making sure that they get the word. Modano with 2 goals and Bellows with 1. Modano's third coming at 8:53. 3-0 Minnesota. Paul Cavallini starts in. Chambers tries to put the hook on him. Turned aside by Casey. Bounces on back for the drill off the boards by Glenn. Helped further by Churla, but kept alive by Paul Cavallini. This one picked off and started ahead. Churla lays it on now for Bureau. In with McRae. A drive and saved by Riendo. Paul Cavallini hurries it ahead. Brett Hull up the wing with Bassett. Hull unable to hang on to it. He and Glynn go to the boards, and play continues back behind the North Stars goal. Pivoting with it, Gino Cavallini. Back for Butcher. Shovel shot. Patched up. Rebound. And that one went wide. Stoppage of play and a penalty coming up against the North Stars. So St. Louis fans, take a deep breath. Your guys are going out on the power play, and do they ever need one?
Is the best way to describe what was happening in front of John Casey. See Brett Hull backing up. The shot had come in front, and this time Brett Hull was out there with Bob Basson. Basson tried to sweep it into the net, didn't do it, but in the process, Brian Glenn of the North Stars has picked up an elbowing penalty at 9:36 of the first.
Propp and Gagne, the assists on Modano's third at 8:53. St. Louis over the playoff run. 1 for the last 35 on the power play, and the North Stars, extending back into the Chicago series, have killed off 35 of the last 36. For those of you who are just watching this series for the first time, we'll mention again that that one power play goal for St. Louis and the one yield by Minnesota was one that had been inadvertently directed into the Minnesota goal by Mark Bureau. So Glenn on the elbow watches from the penalty box. 11 shots Minnesota, 3 have gone in. The Blues are 0 for 6. Around this one comes, and it's spun by Dahlquist, knocked down by Broughton. Kept alive nicely, though, by Brown. Jeff Brown spinning. Hall and Oates are out there, along with Brindamore up front. The other point man is Paul Cavallini. Along the boards they battle. It skipped over near Oates, but it's sent back by Gavin, though not out. A good keep again by Brown. Oates back for Brown once more. Feeds it across for Paul Cavallini, then for Brown again. Brown turns it over to Hull. Dips it over for Oates. Had a man in front, couldn't get it there. To the back it comes for Brown. Big shot! And that deflected to the glass. Hull right there to get it. Brindamore in front, but he's well watched. They work it behind over for Oates. To the point it comes for Brown. Flips one, hoping to connect with Hull, but that misfired. And Giles dumps it back down. .45 seconds still for Minnesota to kill off here. Pass worked ahead for Oates, but too far for him. Just slugged back by Chambers, and to play it as Paul Cavallini had to get out of the way of the freight train named Bureau. Dan Quinn starts it ahead. 8:50 left in the first. His team down by 3. 24 seconds for the North Stars to kill. Duchesne will chew up a lot of that with that clear. Gliding on with it, the captain, Scott Stevens. Some open ice ahead. To the last 10 of the power play. Butcher hacks it in and then is buried by Duchesne. Puck played by Chambers. Lays it right back across for Tenorti. Headman pass on the money for Duchesne. Shovels it to be knocked down by Stevens. The kill has been completed, and Hull with a shot that went off the glove of Casey. Oates trying to reach it, can't do it. Hull couldn't either. Tenorti had to steer it off the side of his own goal and now gets help from Bobby Smith. Tenorti now to take command. Mark Tenorti, the one-time Ranger, moves it back out on for Brian Glenn. The crowd chanting Casey, Casey. 8 minutes to go in the first, and John Casey has faced 7 and has gotten 7. A check by Bellows, and down heavily went Tomlinson. That means John Casey has stopped 92 of the 98 St. Louis shots in this series, and one of those was into an empty net. He could do nothing about it. Mahar with a pass across, and a shot was stopped, and then it's held by Casey.
There's that discipline St. Louis needs. Kelly Chase was in a shoving match, put it in reverse, peeled off the other way. The Blues are getting their chances on the power play. Brett Hull finally on this play crossing the blue line decided to shoot. Was it on net? Would have been close. Looked like it was going for the post. When your power play has dried up, all of the good chances don't seem to be worth anything. They even had the Minnesota penalty killer scrambling around, so the Blues are doing it right. It's just not happening.
John Casey peers out at the faceoff that involves Rick Mahar and some encroachment. The other centerman is Bobby Smith. Bob Gainey said, he mentioned earlier, you may have heard him say he's not a textbook goalie. He also said today, you're not going to map out his moves and sell him to minor hockey. It's just not conventional enough. As he's made one save and turned another away. Mahar behind, works it on over for Kelly Chase, who yanked it behind on the backhand. Bobby Smith taking over there. The Blues have to move in on their forechecking. They trail in the game by 3. Buried is Featherstone, but he got the shot on goal. And there'll be a penalty coming up against the North Stars. On the delayed call, Glenn ties up Tomlinson. Chase up with it. They center one in front. And it pops into the net. The light comes on. But Ron Hogarth had blown the whistle first. The Blues would have to curse. They're being snake bitten. They've had pucks right out in front of the net that have gone off skates, and now finally one crosses the line, and it's after the whistle is blown.
When it gets ugly, it gets real ugly, doesn't it? The Blues can't buy a break. Might have been able to overhear Ron Hogarth telling the folks over in the box, no goal, the whistle had gone. You can tell St. Louis is hungry, though, Mike. You notice how they're jamming the net. I mean, they're just driving for the net, dumping all kinds of pucks there. See if we can pick this up on the replay. Listen for the whistle. How close was that?
Oh.
I mean, was the puck absolutely on the line when the whistle went?
I think it was.
Gosh.
I don't want to position our people down below, but sometime tonight I'd like to hear that and see it again. That was so close.
I agree, but you know, when the referee makes up his mind to blow the whistle, maybe there's a delay. Let's listen again.
Your point well taken. He's got to bring it to his lips and blow it, and with that, it popped loose and came right over. Bobby Smith, a trip at 12:58. And ahead now it comes for Adam Oates. Oates works it across. Paul Cavallini will take it. Approaches the line, but is carried right down again by Stu Gavin, and play is stopped.
Well, Ron Hogarth waved that off, just like he'd been watching a lot of baseball. The entire crew, the officiating crew here, was down on the field last night at the Dome here in Minneapolis for the game against the Oakland A's that the Minnesota Twins played. They're buddies with the officials from the other sport as well. Ron Hogarth looked just like he was given a safe signal on that one, the way he waved it off. For that matter, most of the Blues took in the baseball game, trying to get a little diversion on the night off on the road during the playoffs.
Chambers drills it back down, and Riendo up with it. So the Blues hoping that if there are hockey gods, that they'll start smiling on them for a change, because it's sure been a frustrating first period. A couple of passes found people all alone, but they just couldn't tee it up. Dino Cavallini was one, Tomlinson another, and then one went in as the whistle was being blown. Puck turned back along now for Brett Hull. Hull dumps over for Oates, then back to Hull. Halfway through the power play, across to Brown, a shot! A jam at it by Brindamore. He couldn't put it home. Oates is in, it's gone!
little dose of what the doctor ordered for the St. Louis Blues. Adam Oates, one of their key guys all season long, really caught John Casey before he recovered. But you know what, Mike? The North Stars are being aggressive on their penalty killing. See this Chambers way up high? But there's not a quick enough rotation. I mean, they got a little scrambly. They're forcing in all areas, but you can see wide open on the far side with Jeff Brown. He got his shot away. Adam Oates was there for the rebound and on the spinorama. John Casey couldn't recover. The North Stars, really, when you've got a power play that's on the limp, you try to be aggressive. The North Stars have gotten themselves out of position by being way too aggressive. They stay in a patient box. I think they're going to force the Blues power play to defeat itself, but by running around, they're giving them opportunities. The Blues took advantage of it. They've scored 3-1 now, Minnesota.
Oates, his first of the power play, sixth of the playoffs from Brind'Amour and Brown at 14:06. Blues power play now is 5 for 58, but the big thing tonight is that they've gone 1 for 1. Puck turned around, check that 1 for 2, puck back to the point, shot right on by Featherstone, turned aside by Casey, jammed around the boards, and Craig able to steer it back ahead. Hero couldn't get it any further, then it's followed up by Craig. Ryan Glenn's pass, kick back for Craig, just dumps it right front, Glenn a backhander off the outside of the goal. And it's Dave Lowry working it across, but having dropped back with Craig. Down to the ice went Neil Wilkinson, and fans wanted a penalty. Ron Hogarth did not. Featherstone working it on now. Bob Basson leaned on and worked over by Modano. Back down it comes. John Casey out for the little tap. On it comes for Kurt Giles. 4 minutes, 55 seconds. Pass glanced off of Gagne. Back now for Wilkinson. Shovels it off for Gagne. Lifts one that can't be reached by Stevens, and so he'll drop back. Jeff Brown goes back to get it. Bats it on the backhand for Stevens. Takes his own pass, and then Gagne is in his way, so he decides to go the other way for Gino Cavallini. The North Stars take over. Modano with it. Wrists one that is blocked down. Pivoting with it is Brown, taken away by Gagne, and dropped back for Prop. Prop for Modano, and a shot that floated wide. Modano was going for the hat trick. Dahlquist swirls it off the glass. Modano can't get to it. Stepped into, though, was Brown by Modano, and Prop feeds one that's away from Gagne. Brushed back out by Kelly Chase, and the North Stars, who were back in their own end with some difficulty for a moment, have now turned things the other way. They have the lead in the game, 3-1. Both teams with 12 shots, and the scoreboard clock showing 4 minutes left in this first period. Along with Bill Clement, Mike Emmerich from the Met Sports Center in Bloomington, Minnesota. We hope you're enjoying tonight's contest on Sports Channel. Bellows 1, Modano 2, and Adam Oates 1. 3-1 Minnesota.
I think Brian Sutter and his Blues have to do something about grinding the tempo down. They can't win unless Hull and Oates have some room in a wide open game, and there's been a lot of skating room. We've talked about the North Stars' speed. That is a factor only when you give them room.
Chambers ahead, and he didn't get too much room as Adam Oates swept right to him. Paul Cavallini playing some catch with Butcher. Back for Garth Butcher again. Shuttles it to the corner. On one hop to play it is Chambers. Dumped it along, but it is Brind'Amour and Chambers dueling. Oates wants to free it up, can't do it. Sent off the glass and back into the St. Louis end by Chambers. There'll be another icing call coming up here. 3:20 left in the first period. Big crowd silent now. Their team still ahead by 2.
I want to make the point about Butcher and Stevens that they're far better in series where teams engage them. I mean,
Like Detroit?
Yeah, always there because they're, they're gutsy guys, they're hitters, and you stay away from them. And got a fast skating forwards that don't have to grind to have success. 20 years old and brimming with potential. Mike Modano, 2 goals here, 6'3", 190 pounds, only 20 years old, first overall pick in 1989, and he's only going to get better.
Bit of a delay here. Garth Butcher working on defense with Paul Cavallini. Oates and Tomlinson up front. And Brett Hall. Those are the Blues. We're down 3-1 with 3:20 to go in the first period. Cleanly won by Bobby Smith as the face-off. So with this one is Kurt Giles, the diminutive defenseman to Bellows, then back up for Smith. Bobby Smith fires it around the wall. Headed toward it is Bellows. Pulled away from Tomlinson. Fenders it to Smith, and he couldn't get the backhander away. Chased off by Butcher. Tomlinson just hooks it back out, but Tenorti is right there to spin it along for Smith. Tried to kick to control, but saw it go back to Tenorti for the drop back in. Given a jolt from behind by Garth Butcher as a North Star player, still down, just now getting up, and it's Bellows. Meanwhile, the Blues bring it back. Oates with Tomlinson. Oates controlling, looking over his options, and decides on Paul Cavallini with a drive, and then deflected away. There'll be a penalty coming up, and it's going to be against the North Stars. A holding call, and Stu Gavin will sit. St. Louis 1 for 2 on the power play, and they'll get another crack here with 2:35 to go in the first, down by 2.
One of the few times in this series that the St. Louis Blues are going to say justice has been served. Stu Gavin had been following Brett Hull around forever, even long before we picked him up on this ISO. Look at Hull holding Gavin's stick. And Brett Hull is doing what he said he was going to continue to do. If he's not open and he's covered, he's going to go to the net, force people to hold him, force people to move out of zone so that there's room for somebody else. And that time Brett Hull got what he wanted. A penalty to Stu Gavin for holding. 2:35 to go in the first period, but Gavin had followed him around forever.
You can't be much of a shadow from the penalty box, and you can't be much of a shadow anyway on the power play. Hull and Oates will be out together on it, along with Tino Cavallini. Brown and Paul Cavallini will be in back.
Crucial time for the Blues. 2:35 to go in the first. They've been playing catch-up, I'm sure, what seems to them forever. If they can get one here and make it 3-2 to go in just down one, potentially even tie it up before the first ends.
Kept at the point by Brown, quickly to Paul Cavallini. The North Stars right on him, so he works it the other way. Gets it back again. Hands over to Hull. Paul Cavallini again to Brown. At the front, Tino Cavallini. Paul Cavallini the outside to Hull. Heels it off for Oates. Opening for Hull, but not much of one. Shovels one in front, saved by Casey, and it bounced away from Tino Cavallini and is cleared back down by Tenorti.
Well, I don't get it. I mean, Minnesota was in a nice umbrella because the three guys at the top because the Blues were in an umbrella, but Sean Chambers goes right out to the blue line. Nobody moves back in front. There's a guy standing right in front of Casey wide open. All the Blues have to do is get it to him.
It is Oates to the back. Brown quickly to Paul Cavallini, then over for Hull again. Hull chased right out by Chambers. Threw that one off Bureau. It's punched along, and Chambers tries to clear Paul Cavallini with the key. Turns it back for Hull. Then across for Brown again. Nearly halfway through this third St. Louis power play. They're one for the prior two. Dumped along by Hull. To the corner. Oates really hit by Tenorti. Tino Cavallini dogged by Chambers, and across to Duchesne. Can't get it out. Chambers trying. Duchesne again. Can't get it out. Kept by Oates. Back to Paul Cavallini. Deals it over for Oates. The drop comes further to Brown, then Paul Cavallini again. Hull with a drive, hit the outside of the goal. Behind the net, feathered in front, and jammed away by the defense. Still they work for it. Trying to get to it is Chambers. It went off of Oates. Tino Cavallini stepped into by Duchesne to the point to Brown. Fires, and that deflected away by a sliding Duchesne. Jammed off by Chambers. Drilled back down by Bureau. You see the time left in the period. 15 seconds to go on the St. Louis power play. Dan Quinn dumps it in. Casey sets it up for Giles. Giles lets it back down. 2 seconds, 1 second. Gavin is out. 3-1 Minnesota in the last half minute of the period, and here comes Bellows. Bellows kicks to control. Still up with it. Slides it around the boards, but the Blues will be able to take over there. Adam Oates just holds, looks for a pass, and has it for Scott Stevens. Leads it ahead toward the Giles side of the ice. Stevens tried to dump it along, but Giles in the way to the last 10 of the period, and Giles nearly ran into trouble, but was able to send it back. The Blues give up the first three, but get one. Gavin and Dahlquist at 3:02. Modano again from Proppen Gagne at 8:53. Then the Blues finally on the power play from Brindamore and Brown. Adam Oates scored at 14:06. The shots, 13 for St. Louis, 12 for the North Stars at the end of one. It's Minnesota 3 and St. Louis 1. Let's pause for this regional break.
Guess what? It just happened to me. Oh, here we go. What are the power plays tonight so far, Doug?
1 for 3 St. Louis, 0 for 1 Minnesota. Here again at the Met Sports Center in Bloomington, Minnesota, the North Stars have the lead over the St. Louis Blues 3-1. A little bit later on tonight, the Los Angeles Kings against the overtime magnificent most times Edmonton Oilers, the defending champions who played 5 straight overtime games, including 2 of them in double. But here we start period number 2. No carryover power plays. The team's at full strength. Mark Tenorti lays it back in, then takes the obligatory hit from Scott Stevens. Stevens takes the pass. Tried to work it ahead. Checked off of him, though, by Bobby Smith. Sealed up by Basson. Stevens tries to pull away. That doesn't work, as Dahlquist converged with Tenorti. So the Blues must set it up behind. Jeff Brown starts the rush back out. Little pass on for Stevens. Just lofts one that Casey watches. Hit harmlessly to the wall. Back behind Basson. Good collision there with Tenorti. Puck pumped along. Good keep by Stevens to Lowry, and a shot went off of Casey and popped into the seats. John Casey is down flat.
He took that one right above the cage. It looked like it hit him square on the forehead. And those masks are designed to really deflect the shot so that you don't have to take its full impact. But John Casey is certainly shaken up on this one. Huge blast from Lowry, who was standing unguarded, wide open in the slot. Don't see any cut or any blood just yet. John Casey just wiped his own nose, so positive sign. John Casey is so quiet, I'm sure it's hard to tell just how stunned he is when the trainer gets out there. He's so soft-spoken most times.
Ryan Hayward, backup goaltender, it appears will not be called into action tonight. John Casey with some eye drops.
Couple of shots of Visine and let's get at it. Well, the North Stars really broke down on this play. Couple of them in the corner, trying to take Scott Stevens and Dave Lowry wide open in the slot. Bingo, right off the head. And it didn't hit him in the cage either. It hit him in the mask part above the cage. And the tough part is he won't even get a credit for a save on that one. That was going high.
So John Casey is back in there again, having faced 13 St. Louis shots on goal, and that one that was gonged into the seats. Ryan Hayward, a part of Montreal Stanley Cup teams, and Bob Gainey, a part when he was a player of 5 of them. You just figure among Gainey, Clark Jarvis, and Chico Resch of the coaching staff, they have 12 Stanley Cups amongst them, and a lot of other league awards too. We mentioned earlier, half a dozen Selkies, 3 Mastertons, 3 Harts. Ahead now comes Broughton, hands to Chambers, moving in. Chambers a shot, and it hit the outside of the goal, and then was foisted away by Riendo. Craig to the back. Duchesne gets some help. Duchesne with a drive. That one blocked away. Brad Hull up with it, wheels back out for the Blues. Hull dances by one. Wrist shot save. Rebound. Snapped up by Casey.
After the shot that Casey grabbed, Brett Hull went flying into the boards. He looks like he's all right, but you talk about backing in. Look at these defensemen. Chambers with a lot of respect. Brian Glynn as well. When the Blues get to that range, you know they're going to shoot. Casey with the first stop. The rebound right back to him. There's the first one. Rebound right back to Brett Hull. Into the glove of John Casey. And here's Brett Hull dangerously going into the boards head first. one of the whole keys of leaving a rebound is, can you recover positionally to be back square enough to the shooter to not be vulnerable when he gets the rebound? Casey might not be a textbook goalie to Bob Gainey, but he sure looked textbook to me on that one. He was ready for the rebound.
And the crowd sings on. The Johnny Be Good song played here. Just been superb. 15 shots by the Blues in the game, 2 in this period. The North Stars are still looking for their first one. They have a 2-goal lead, 3-1 over the Blues, in case you're just joining us. There will definitely be a 5th game 2 nights from now in St. Louis. Whether there will be a 6th depends on Minnesota, and also on the comeback ability of these Blues, who were down 3-0 and got a power play goal to make it 3-1. Mark Tenorti told Bill between periods he felt that the next goal was the most important one in the game, and if the game, then the series. Off of Basil McRae, it's shaken back around by Sutter. Butcher feathers one. McRae able to pick that one up. Followed further by Tomlinson, stepped into by Bureau, he went down. Tomlinson able to get it to Rich Sutter. Stood up by the checking of Kurt Giles. Coming by for it is Oates, hammered by McRae again. Along the boards, Oates tries to take it but can't. Bureau able to flip it back out. There'll be an icing call. Down to the ice goes Charlie. Ron Hogarth looks on. The fans are not so unbiased as Mr. Hogarth. They saw with their hearts on that one, and back it'll come near Casey.
Well, Bob Gainey, John Casey's coach, has seen a lot of goalies come and go in his time. He's seeing a hot one right now. Ask Bob Gainey today if he thought there was such a thing, really, as a money goalie.
Well, I think there are people who enjoy that that situation when everything gets put on top of their shoulders, and when they're waiting for the competition to approach, nothing feels worse. But when the competition starts, there's something about their personality that drives them to want to succeed, and although they don't maybe like the feeling, they like the idea of being in the situation because they know what the upside is.
Off the face-off, the North Stars emerge with it. Modano unable to get away from Marois checking. Now it's Mark Tenorti bringing it on. Tenorti, big blast, and that one fooled Riendo, but got the glass. Mahar flips it off. Corralled for a moment by Brindamore, but Modano yanks it away from him, then tries to keep but can't. Rushed right back, and Featherstone has to go further. Rick Mahar wound up running right into the linesman, and now Mahar able to get one away from Ron Asseltine, and across now, and Brindamore unable to step by Dahlquist. Kept alive, though, for a shot shanked off a North Star. Moving forward is Brindamore, turns it back, and Dahlquist with some room. Not much time, though. To a side, we get a stoppage of play, and a cross-checking call is signaled. We'll pick up the penalty call and the resulting power play when we come back.
He didn't go down, luckily for Gagne. He would have gone headfirst into the boards, but there sits Kelly Chase. North Stars 0 for 1 in their power, get their second one of the night.
Dave Gagne wins it, and Broughton takes it. He has Tenorti nearby. The other members of the power play are Bellows and Kroc. Tenorti looking for an opening. Flipped one in, but couldn't dance back for it. Butcher hacks one off the wall, and Broughton will have to skate it down. If you're just joining us, 17 minutes, 5 seconds to go in the second period. North Stars have the lead in the best-of-7 series here in the second round. 2 games to 1, and they lead in the game 3-1. 90 seconds to go on the North Stars' second power play. They are 0 for the prior one. It is Gagne shoveling one in front, and buried to the ice was Prop. It ricocheted off him, and the Blues play it back down. John Casey out, feathers it along. Bellows let it go. Shuffled back in by Stevens, and a leaping grab by John Casey. North Stars have gone 3.5 minutes of this period without a shot on goal. Tenorti wants to change that by dumping in. Stevens takes it from his goalkeeper. Can't play it out, though. Neil Broughton pivots away from Mahar. Broughton with Tenorti nearby. Flips one, but Lowry is able to shovel it back out, and so the North Stars have to chase again. John Casey just scoops it off now for Chambers. Penalty killers for St. Louis are Basson as well as Rich Sutter up front. Stevens and Butcher in back. The hard around played by Chambers. Kicked off of one of the Blues. Worked along by Stevens. Rich Sutter couldn't get it out. Good keep by Chambers, but Stevens will try again. Can't get it by Bellows. Flips in front to Smith. Poke checked away by Riendo. Now it's back for Chambers. Across crisply for Glynn, shot, and that deflected away. Cleared back along and down. That may stand as the biggest poke check of the series if St. Louis can come back.
Bizarre sequence, though. Turnover after turnover. North Stars giving it to Blues and vice versa. Finally, a scoring chance by Bobby Smith.
Bobby Smith ahead. Tries to get through and can't. Puck poked away. Madonna there. Lost it. Kept alive nicely by Wilkinson, but followed up by Marois. Penalty time is up. Teams at full strength. 15-15 to go in the second. Minnesota ahead in the game 3-1. Pivoting with this is Giles. Nearly forced by Oates. Puck came back to Brett Hull. Feeds one across and Tomlinson couldn't take it. Madonna's pass. Corralled by Marois. Or Craig might have been able to start away with it, especially on the ricochet off Marois. Would have been an onside play. And here's Smith moving in. Fires and it went wide. To the point it comes. Wilkinson finesses by one. Still trying to control. Neil Wilkinson dropped it along. Down to the ice to Shane. Off the ice will come a blue. The North Stars will have a power play once again when we come back. 14:42 to go in the second. The North Stars lead the Blues 3-1.
The bad guy this time. North Stars back on the power play as Gaetan Duchesne was trying to get to the puck. Marois had his stick in between his legs. Earlier, Vincent Riendo under fire. These are the miscues. Stevens tried the up ice pass. Bellows intercepted into Bobby Smith. Vincent Riendo has to get some credit for being aggressive there. We've dished it out for John Casey, but Riendo's in a tough spot. He got pulled here in game 3. Ryan Sutter said, "You're still our guy." Boy, when a coach puts that much confidence in you, to me, that's pressure.
Madonna watched by Stevens. Madonna works it to the back to Chambers. Then Madonna again. A shot, and that got the glass. Madonna with 2 of the North Stars' 3 goals. Bellows has the other one. Craig thrown away. Smith points it back to Chambers again. Across for a dump drive by Glynn, but he recovered at the line and kept it. Up to the corner. Butcher couldn't get it. Craig could. Butcher right after him, though. Stevens held off Craig. Puck dumped along. Bobby Smith steps to it. Chambers there. Chambers works it over for Craig. Back for Chambers. Able to take it on the bounce. Then Bobby Smith shovels to Chambers. Minute 15 to go power play. Across to Glynn. Fires and it went wide. There'll be a penalty coming up. It'll be a 5-on-3. Smith the shot. And that one hopped wide. If the North Stars give it up, it is, but they've got a chance here. Smith feeds it across. Big drive! And a save made by Riendo on Madonna. Around behind for Craig. 55 seconds on the first penalty. Bobby Smith across. Shoots! Glynn scores!
The big wave gets even bigger. A power play goal now for the North Stars. They lead 4-1. Bobby Smith over to Glynn. Big shot through Mike Craig, who was screening in front. Riendo didn't have a chance. I don't even know how he could see it. The North Stars had the extra attacker out there. Casey had gone to the bench. It was 6 skaters to 4. Perhaps that's why the North Stars didn't turn the puck over to get a whistle and to get their 5-on-3. You usually want the 5-on-3. There's a lot more room than the 6-on-4. They don't care now. It worked.
The goal canceled not only the minor to Marois, but the upcoming penalty too. So the teams are at full strength, and Brian Glynn will long remember his first ever Stanley Cup goal. At 6:26, and his team now ahead by 3 again, 4-1. We'll see if Mark Tenorti is the accurate forecaster here. He said the next goal was the biggest one, and his team got it. He has the puck right now and pulls away from Hull. Can't control it, so he has to dip further. Over to Dahlquist, who will walk it back. Cranks one off the corner. Featherstone chased off by Broughton. Off of Brindamore, it's followed up by Oates. Oates and Hull out together. Brian Sutter has to have them out a lot now. Merwa in, shovels to Oates to Brindamore. Feeds for Oates, wrestled down, loose puck. Down to the ice is Casey, and the net was vacated. But the North Stars were able to hold. Merwa long, gets yanked back in, headed with it is Oates. Hull taken down by Duchesne. There'll be a penalty on the delayed call. Oates off down from behind by Churla. And we get the whistle blown, and there'll be a penalty coming up to Duchesne. And so St. Louis will have a power play when we come back. 4-1 Minnesota. Let's pause for this regional break. Through 4 eyes and through 2. What was I saying? You're watching the Stanley Cup playoffs on Sports Channel. Well, it's all right if you can do it.
Oh, I hope we're clear. As I
Looked like a couple of accountants there, didn't they? All glum.
Well, the North Stars have passed the baton from one shadow to the other. Stu Gavin picked up a penalty earlier for being too close to Brett Hull, and this time it's Gaetan Duchesne. Good pass from Brindamore. I thought that there was going to be a holding penalty there on Oates, but that one was let go. Play came up ice, and when it came back, this is a look at that same play. Anyway, in there somewhere, Gaetan Duchesne helped Brett Hull coming back in on the rush.
That at 7:29. St. Louis on the power play, but they don't have the puck. Tenorti hands over to Gavin, moving out with Broughton. Gavin fires, and that one turned aside by Riendo and scooped up by Dan Quinn. Quinn's pass went all the way back down. John Casey just waiting there, now slugs it across for Stu Gavin, who has a couple of assists in this game tonight. They battle the boards right near the Blues bench. Across now for Paul Cavallini. 12 minutes to go in the second. 4-1 Minnesota ahead. Gavin in, but Oates there first. Gavin right on him, though. Points it to the back. Kept by Paul Cavallini. Looks over to Brown, but also at the front of the goal. Decides Oates will have it next. Yanked around for Gino Cavallini, then behind for Quinn. Looks to Brown and a shot. Knocked down by Casey, and he hangs on.
Casey said after game 3 here 2 nights ago that he heard the fans cheering for him, or he heard them chanting, but he tried not to listen. It's hard not to listen when they're yelling this loud. Super save on Jeff Brown. He was able to pick up Brown coming in and just square up. Dan Quinn with a nice pass laying it out, a shootable pass for Brown. All Casey could do was look around, hope that he was square, and really hope that Brown hit him, and that's what happened.
On the power play goal by Minnesota, Glenn his first ever in the Stanley Cup playoffs at 6:26 from Smith and Chambers. 1:08 to go on the Blues' 5th power play. They are 2 for the prior 22 in the series, 1 for 4 tonight. Brown at the back to corral it. Along for Brindamore. Hooked at by Bureau. Gives it to Brown. Quickly, Paul Cavallini. A shot went wide. Scooped off in a nice finesse by Giles for Bureau to clear. Paul Cavallini starts it back. 45 seconds to go on the man advantage. Over to Brown. Brown checked by Dahlquist. Gets loose though. Brown hit by Dahlquist again. Nice puck control by Brown. Nearly had trouble with Ron Hogarth's skates. But plays it back over now for Oates. Oates has Hull pivoting off at the far corner, same side of the ice. But gives to the back to Brown. Hull still there and takes the pass. Shot, score! Brett Hull with a power play goal, and it is 4-2 Minnesota.
What a great time for your power play to come alive. Brian Sutter's not going to give up, and he doesn't want the guys on the ice to either. 4-2 now, halfway through the game. But the North Stars continuing to be aggressive. Lots of room to pass the puck around by St. Louis, and you know what? One thing St. Louis hasn't had is that attack down low. the pass into the goal line. They seem to be concentrating on it here tonight, and they're being successful with it. Cliff Ronning was excellent at that play. When he went to Vancouver, St. Louis took a step backwards from their low attack standpoint in the power. But they've got Brett Hull set up in the goal line tonight. A couple of times he's gotten it. That time, super reaction. Stepped into a hole, turned around, fired it up high, 4-2.
There's Garth Butcher just having handed some tape over from his stick to Ron Hogarth, the referee. 2 for 5 on the power play are the Blues. Those are the 2 goals that they have. The North Stars with double that amount and 10:50 to go in the second period. We'll get the official call of the assists on that goal. Hall, we mentioned, got it, his 9th and 2nd of the playoffs on the power play. Stevens a shot that had to be turned aside by Casey. Spinning with it is Chambers, dumping it off for Prop. Oates and Brown wound up with the assists. So Oates and Brown have both figured on the 2 St. Louis goals tonight. Brett Hull's first of the series. A leaping attempt by 2 Blues. Back ahead with this, Bobby Smith handing over to Bellows. Could not get by Stevens, and the pass is for Lowry, and when he took it, it was not over 2 lines, but over 3. 10:14 to go in the second. Play stopped here with the home team ahead by 2.
Their first power play goal wasn't on a penalty that Hull drew, was it? Right away coming back by?
Gavin's was the Gavin held Hull.
Okay.
But that wasn't the one. It was Bobby Smith's trip.
Well, Dave Lowry is headed to the penalty box. That caught me by surprise. There's a double hit on Brian Glynn behind the net, but you know what? The slash had to come after that 2-line pass was whistled down. There was no stoppage of play because of a penalty. I guess we kind of looked away. Dave Lowry has been caught for a slash at 9:46 here in the second period. So the North Stars on the power play.
Boy, what a meaningless penalty, but it may be one of great meaning. Perhaps we can see what happened here. He's just wedged off by Glynn.
There it is.
And Lowry knew all along that he wasn't going to be able to take the pass. A shot by Broughton, a scorcher, is stopped by Riendo.
Boy, the St. Louis Blues have had to play catch-up hockey for so long. Ask Brian Sutter today if mental fatigue could become a factor when playing from behind so much in this series.
You can, Bill, but at the same time, we're a hockey club that is stressed throughout the 80-game season. Let's take it one at a time. We set 10-game goals and segments, and we always try to take them one at a time and not look ahead or look behind. We can't do nothing about yesterday. We can only do something about today to make ourselves a little better for tomorrow.
Oh, one tipped in front. Gagne shot a follow-up shot, and it went wide. The Blues nearly guilty of a big giveaway back in their own end, but Riendo was able to hold it off. But the North Stars shift from their own zone to the attack zone now as Gagne feeds for Broughton across.
It looked for a while tonight as if the Minnesota North Stars power play was going to cool off. Ain't going to happen, folks. Red hot again. Great passes. Gagne to Broughton to Prop and in. A speed on the attack. They hit the blue line with speed. St. Louis overcommitted. 2 guys went to Gagne. He dished over to Broughton. Broughton smartly to Brian Prop. Unguarded at the side of the net. Low shot caught Riendo when he was going down. Brian Prop's 5th goal of the playoffs has given the North Stars that 3-goal lead again. 5-2. And as in game 3, Vincent Riendo has headed to the bench. Pat Jablonski is in on relief.
Prop his 5th. And all 5 have been on the power play. Broughton and Gagne assisting at 10:13. Riendo out, and the 23-year-old goalkeeper from Toledo, Ohio. Pat Jablonski is in.
You know, Mike, I was surprised that Brian Sutter didn't pull Riendo after the North Stars went up quickly 2-0 in the first period. Perhaps that would have been a sign of panic. Perhaps not. I'm not even sure we can fault Riendo on any of the goals. Sure, you have to make great saves to win key hockey games. But some of those shots were deflected, and Brian Propp was left all alone on that one.
Puck wedged around, able to get it is Glenn. The fans are elated here not only because of the North Stars getting their 5th goal, but that brings along a bonus. Ahead, Gagne.
Unbelievable. The 15th ranked offensive team during the regular season on that goal has scored 6 goals in this tilt. We're just past the halfway mark. The North Stars lead at 6-2 on a brilliant shot by Dave Gagne, who's been pretty quiet in the first 3 games of this series. Off the post, into the net. Brian Sutter can only look back down on his bench, trying to find an answer. 5 goals against the Blues in Game 3. 6 goals here already. And remember, the Blues were the 3rd best defensive team during the regular season. The North Stars, the 15th best offensive team.
Well, the team in white had an improvement in wins and in points in every month ongoing through the season. And even the fans who had turned out during the course of the year thought they'd be okay for the playoffs because they were so far ahead of Toronto, they'd at least get in. But man, they've cranked their game up from 33 to 78 RPMs, and it has gotten this house on fire.
What's the next speed up from 78? I think they're at that speed. I don't know what it is.
Mach 1, maybe.
There you go.
8:30 to go in the second. North Stars 6-2.
Stars penalty. Now is where it's tough to coach for Bob Gainey, boy. I bet he wishes he could have an intermission right now.
Cross check.
The only hope now is that the North Stars self-destruct. The only hope for the Blues, that is. And Mike Modano has taken a cross-checking penalty. The Blues power play has come alive here in Game 4. And with a 6-2 lead, discipline is the watchword. That little push cost Modano 2 minutes. Paul Cavallini went for the call and he got it. I think Bob Gainey has a challenge here right now. If I'm Bob Gainey, I want my guys in the locker room now. You got a 6-2 lead. You want to calm them down instantly.
Paul Cavallini cranks a shot. Save, Casey. They look like a pretty satisfied crowd. We were about to mention, after the 5th goal was scored, when the 6th one was scored, that they get a food bonus out of the 5 goals. Casey able to get that one on the tip. They were chanting 5-5 here the other night, and I wondered why. They said, well, there's a promotion. If the North Stars score 5 goals, everybody gets pizza. I didn't ask about 10. Hull. Paul Cavallini. Brown. Save made by Casey on Adam Oates on a nice setup by Brown.
All kinds of room for the setups. And the North Stars penalty killing, I think, has to take a step backwards and get into a tighter formation. They're being aggressive, and that's been a key to their success since Christmas. But see them forcing? When they force, the Blues are doing a great job of moving into the holes. Sometimes the North Stars commit. When one guy commits, you have to rotate. They're not rotating. Talk about a busy guy in the win department the last couple of years. John Casey only had 2 goalies over the last 2 years that won more games than he did. Patrick Waugh and Mike Vernon. Brantford was right behind him. You don't hear much about this guy, but when you take a look at his wins over the last 2 seasons, 52, that tells you about the man.
St. Louis has asked for a timeout. Judging from what you said, Bill, that'll be a bonus for Bob Gainey, too. Midway in the second, the House is jumping to a 6-2 lead. Unbelievable. How many were here the first time we came in December? What, about 5,200?
5,000. Yeah, you front runners.
Twists and turns in any career, especially that lonely profession of goalkeeping. And John Casey said the other day, without my wife Brenda, a young lady he met at the University of North Dakota, I wouldn't be playing goal today. It is a lonely profession and one in which there are very few people to talk to. But he said she's always been a source of encouragement when I've had bad games and when I've had stretches of them. We hadn't had stretches of them in a long time now. 18 seconds gone on the minor penalty to Mike Modano on the cross-check. Out of this face-off, it's nudged to the back. Brown there, across to Paul Cavallini, then Brown once again. Handed over to Oates. Handed to Brindamore. Diving poke check made by Chambers. Puck flipped on back for Paul Cavallini. Brown had it over the line, brought it back in. Stoppage of play. Paul Cavallini apparently got clipped by a stick up high. Ron Hogarth didn't see it, but he's talking with the linesman Wayne Bondy to see if he did. Now Neil Broughton is right there eavesdropping on the conversation. Nothing will come of this.
He's still hurting from game 1 where he took a line drive puck in the forehead. Stopped that. Oh yeah, Neil Broughton came up high on him. Nothing called. Bobby Smith's line drive caught him right between the eyes. You can see the stitches there, just a glimpse of them over his left eye. Got that in game 1. Smith was ejected. That game misconduct has since been rescinded.
Pretty important because if you get 2 of those, you're suspended for a game. And if you get 2 of the other kind of game misconduct, not stick related, you're suspended for a game too. Ron Hogarth accidentally tripped up to the ice and he is down flat. He stumbled over a stick. I believe it was Adam Oates' stick. Now keep in mind, if Hogarth is incapacitated at playoff time, they do have a spare official. And though we did not see Terry Gregson today, we understood that he was in fact the spare official here. And Bill, you did see him.
Yeah, I happened to run into him in the hall. He had a skate problem. His last outing, that was in Edmonton. And he was getting it fixed. Ron Hogarth. You know, sometimes when you're walking or skating slowly and you stub your foot or your toe, instantly there's stress on your lower back. It jolts your back terribly. And I'm not sure that's not what happened to Ron Hogarth there as he stumbled to fall. There's Adam Oates just trying to get up with his stick. Oh, you know what? Adam Oates looked like he tripped him intentionally. I got a feeling Adam Oates thought that was a North Star trying to make his way up ice.
Because you go a lot by sound in a case like that, don't you?
It looked absolutely like Adam Oates put the stick out there to trip who was ever coming behind him. Watch it again. See him? Look, yeah, you're darn right. Wrong guy, Adam. What?
All you can judge by are the skates that you hear, I guess.
Well, and the people that are in front of you as well. You have a picture of where your players are, and if you see your guys in front of you, you know that's not one of your guys behind you. Who else could it be? A couple of choices there.
Well, their team has 6 goals. They're going to get free pizza, and now they're into the wave here. But the North Stars, with more serious business down on the ice, have to kill off this penalty. They have a 4-goal lead in the game with 7 minutes to go in the second and half a minute still to kill. Paul Cavallini brings it up. Rockets it around the boards. Flicked on back and a good keep on the backhand by Brown. But here is a 3-on-1. Duchesne with Chambers and Bureau hit the post. Gaetan Duchesne came that close to a shorthanded goal at 2-on-1. deflected by Duchesne. Oates can't pass across for Quinn. Sean Chambers with some help. Lost to Hull. To Quinn. Rising shot off the glass. Hull tried to center, and that didn't work. Bureau lays it back out.
The North Stars, at this point in the hockey game, look exactly like a team that has a 6-2 lead. Wide open, all kinds of chances for Brett Hull.
Quinn fires, and that blocked away by Dahlquist. Dahlquist flips along for Bellows. Tries to scoop it back out. That didn't pan out, though. Tomlinson played it along the boards. Dahlquist wrestled from behind by Quinn. Puck squirts back out for Scott Stevens to play. 5:45 to go in the second. We'll keep you updated on the Edmonton-Los Angeles 4th Game 2. They're just underway at the Northlands Coliseum. Gavin in front of Bellows. Tried to tuck one in front and had no room. Dahlquist finesses for Bellows. Looks across for Smith. The pass comes back to Giles. Breaks one, and that one went wide. And Stevens fires it back down. Butcher shoving back down the ice with Bobby Smith. Ron Hogarth will take one, maybe he'll take both. We'll be right back.
Do you think Bob Gainey wants to get these guys behind closed doors?
I think so.
Holy mackerel. And Adam and Brett are capable of doing it by themselves. Yeah, we got it.
Just make sure they pull it out quickly. I guess this is just Kimball.
Nice to see that Wayne Gretzky's back in the lineup. The Sport needs him. The Edmonton Oilers might not need him in the Kings lineup right now, but the Sport needs him. Kimball is off for a hook here. The Blues are down a man, 14:42 of the second period. Darren Kimball is off, wide open. Gavin with a perfect feed to Brian Bellows. Watch this little pass out. He wanted to tuck that in himself, but he couldn't make contact on the backhand.
They've changed this now from a hook to a spear, a 4-minute spear. Now the motion by the referee to signal that is the same. Very, very similar signals, and so that's why it was misread.
One's a pull motion and the other one's a push motion, but it's the same.
But on the 4-minute spear, the North Stars can really build something up. You'd mentioned while we were away, boy, Bob really must want to get his team into the locker room now because it's become a little more ragged. And you see the blood trickling down the nose of Neil Broughton. He was the one that got it. Gainey wants to know why not a 5 in a game misconduct.
Boy, they sure have marketed this team here in Minnesota in the St. Paul Pioneer, a local newspaper. This ad appeared with Bob Gainey standing there expressionless. The caption on the left said, Coach Gainey after a penalty. The middle is after a goal. The right one, Coach Gainey after kicking Chicago's butt in the playoffs. And in big letters down below, what you can't see is written, when your coach is Bob Gainey, you come to depend on excitable fans.
Well, they're excitable tonight, and as you notice, Bob Gainey was pretty animated a moment ago, too.
Shot we just had of Bob Gainey looked a lot like the newspaper shot. Bob Gainey probably wanted to get his guys in the locker room to settle them down because they had such a big lead. The next best thing is getting 4 minutes in power play time with 5 minutes and change to go in the period, and that's what Gainey ended up getting. Pat Jablonski has one jammed by him. Power play goal by Brian Bellows, 7-2. Minnesota leads.
Minutes to go in the second. 23 shots, St. Louis 21, Minnesota. The North Stars have the lead in the game 7-2. play goal. Puck turned all the way back around, and we get a whistle and a stoppage of play. Prop and Broughton wind up with the assists on the power play goal by Bellows.
John Casey said yesterday, he said, I'm not real quick, I'm not that big, I'm not really flexible. He doesn't want to give himself any credit, but all of those things don't mean very much when you're one of the best puck stoppers in the world at this time of the month of April.
Marois shot knocked down. Rebound tipped across. Brushed along and sent by Glenn for Bobby Smith. 1:20 to go on the power play. The North Stars 7. Ahead with this is Smith. Dropped it on back for Modano, then over for Chambers. Scooped up by Chambers, punched by Modano over for Smith, and we get a stoppage of play on a hand pass.
Boy, when your special teams are on a roll, you're so anxious to get over the boards. Sean Chambers has become a big part of this North Stars unit, power play unit. And Mike Craig mixing it up with Mario Marois there. One guy and the old guy, the 20-year-old and the 34-year-old going at it. Craig's going off. Why do I get the feeling that this game could take a long time to get finished with here tonight? 4:14 to go in the second, but lots of time left in the third, obviously.
The officials that you talk to after a game like the last one, and when a game turns like this one has, so lopsidedly, say, the game is over, but the rest is babysitting. And there may be quite a bit of that to be done with 24 minutes and 14 seconds to go, because that man, Garth Butcher, is not going to go quietly. Boy, was he ever noticeable in the series with Detroit, Garth Butcher.
I think Minnesota has played Garth Butcher and Scott Stevens far differently than Detroit, though. Bob Probert went at them and engaged those two big guys, and they haven't been as effective here because nobody's wanted to dance with them. The North Stars have taken the body on them, but they haven't hung around to engage them in any of the pushing and any of the shoving, and as a result, I don't think Butcher and Stevens are as effective.
Shovel shot by Tenorti off a stick. This time Brian Propp is hurt, and there's going to be a delayed penalty against, I believe, St. Louis now. Marois protesting. But on this delayed call with still 35 seconds to go on the one power play, Brian Propp has come to the bench hurt. Meanwhile, Broughton's pass is flagged down by Oates, and now we'll get the stoppage of play. Minnesota will have a 5-on-3 for half a minute.
John Casey hadn't noticed that there was a delayed call on. You should have seen him explode out of his crease when he finally realized that there was a delayed call on Mario Marois. Mark Tenorti with a nice low deflectable wrist shot that Rando got a piece of, and just right after the play, Brian Propp still in pain. He got slashed by Marois. He really did, as Tenorti's shot was coming to him. Marois protested, but it didn't do any good. Slashing is the call. 3:37 to go in the second. A 5-goal bulge for the Stars, 7-2.
In the playoffs in 5-on-3s, the North Stars are 2 for 3. The Blues gave up a goal on the only 5-on-3 they faced in the Detroit series. We should mention that Craig and Butcher got roughing minors at 15:46. Marois, in addition, has picked up a misconduct penalty, and that's why he'll head to the locker room ahead of his teammates. Just a 10-minute misconduct to go along with the slash. Bellows' goal came from Propp and Broughton at 14:53. Gagne wins the faceoff away from Mahar, and the 5-on-3 begins. With 3.5 to go in the second, and Minnesota ahead by a count of 7-2. Broughton feeds it across for Bellows. Yanks it on back, and Broughton had trouble playing that one. Then over for Modano once more. Modano's pass on the money for Gagne. Moves in. Finesses. Plays it over. Spun by Bellows to Propp, and he tried to get it to Gagne. And a little too cute, maybe. Turned back out again, and fresh in the box is Kimball, so now it's a 5-on-4.
Now if the Blues get a chance, you know they're going to force. Well, now Minnesota's got to change. They had 5 forwards out there.
Brian Propp over to get it. Dumps it along. Gagne there too. Puck flung and Neil Wilkins for check that Glenn able to grab it down. Big drive by Modano and that flicked wide. Well, they got one defenseman on anyway. Glenn back now handing to Modano. Now they're able to make another change, so they'll have the right number out. McRae across to Churla. Wide with the shot. Bobby Smith up with it. 50 seconds to go on the power play of the 5-on-4 for the North Stars. Back to Smith again. Shovels and that knockdown. Rebound by McRae went wide. Churla patrolling. Hands to Smith. Flynn and drives.
If you just tuned in and took a look at the lineup that was out there in Minnesota's power play, you might have been able to guess the North Stars had a 5-goal lead. Basil McRae was in front. There you see his number 17 screening on the Brian Glenn shot. Shane Churla was there. He passed it back to Brian Glenn. The North Stars on another power play goal lead at 8-2. McRae, Churla, and Bobby Smith with a forward unit. Bob Gainey's getting everybody into the act, and they're all producing.
The team with the best winning percentage of these playoffs, 6 out of 9 for a .667, is going to eventually be at 7-3 unless something historic happens here. A 6-goal lead, 8-2, with 2 minutes to go in the second. Brian Glenn did not have a Stanley Cup goal before tonight, but right now he's got 2, including his first power play goal. This is Bureau, flicking one that bounced right back to Rich Sutter. Starts it back in a 3-on-2 for the Blues now. Rich Sutter fires one, and that just casually sticked away to the seats by John Casey. And so play stopped once more. Smith and Churla get the assists on Glenn's second at 17:46. McRae and Stevens got roughing minors at the same time.
Very often the problem for a goaltender that gets great protection is focus. Play is at the other end quite often, but with this big lead, unless Bob Gainey really clamps it down, I think you're going to see a few chances on John Casey. He's still going to have to concentrate. He doesn't want to lose a good thing that he has going right now. You know, he still wants to hold tough.
There's the guy when he walks into the rink, why the fans scream out Norm like Cheers is on. Norman Green. You know, among his plans and remaining not only in the Twin Cities, the fans are all up now waving at him, chanting Norm, Norm. Well, this is a rarity. You hardly ever see an owner treated like this.
You know, he said the first week he got here, he went around calling Brian Bellows Mike. That's how much he knew these North Stars. The only 2 guys he knew, Shane Churla because he played in Calgary, and Perry Berezan because he played in Calgary. And Norm Green was a minority owner of the Calgary Flames before he came here.
There you see some of the fans watching from the private boxes high at the end. Off the face-off, Brindamore tried to play. Back up now, 3-on-2 for the North Stars. 90 seconds left in the second period. Bureau across. Churla unable to knock it home was Duchesne. But a pretty passing play involving the 3 forwards. And we've got Churla locked up with one of the Blues. It is Featherstone, and Churla throws the first punch. And it's also the last one.
And it might be the only thing that ends up being penalized. Well, if Basil McRae and Shane Churla want their ice time, they're going to get it now. Beautiful play. Bureau over to the side to Bellows in front to Duchesne. I'll take that back to Churla and over to Duchesne. Churla got hit up high, you might have noticed at the tail end of that replay. That's why he wanted Featherstone. Now Featherstone's going to get something here too. He's gone.
Featherstone with the snarl and the departure. With a minute 18 to go in the second. His team down by a score of 8-2. Ryan Sutter, always the fiery competitor as a player, is the very same as a coach. Ron Hogarth having words with the North Stars captain Kurt Giles.
It was a sparsely populated jungle, wasn't it, when we were here? When was it, November or December for a game?
Yeah. Right around just after Thanksgiving, I believe we came in here.
5,000
to 6,000, somewhere in there.
Yep.
And like a lot of teams, the Philadelphia Flyers were taking up a collection to buy some spare tickets to be a part of a giveaway that was going on. Other teams did it too. I don't know that any teams that pooled together to take part in that draw, which was held on the ticket stubs, ever collected the big money. But what did happen was that eventually Norm Green decided the giveaways weren't really what he wanted to accomplish. But what he did wind up with was a team that was accomplishing some things in November and December when we were here, thinking they might not be doing a whole lot. Well, they did, and they built something that is really approaching a pretty dramatic arrival to the month of May if they can do this. You saw Jeff Brown crumple to the ice, having caught a stick. So we may be looking at a tour of 5 here. Churla wound up getting an extra minor out of all that for double roughing, and Featherstone a roughing minor only at 18:42. So this was a Blues power play underway, and it could be a 5-on-3, and it could be a power play for a long time if Ron Hogarth decides this is a 5 spot.
Jeff Brown was trying to get a rush going, approaching the Minnesota blue line. Mark Tenorti reached out with his stick, like he caught him right in the chin.
Now, if it's a 5 and game misconduct, that would be 1 for Tenorti, and another stick foul related to that would bring about an automatic 1-game suspension. The North Stars have to think not only of this series, but should they win it, about subsequent play too. It is a 5.
And a game misconduct. Again, the time of the penalty is 19 minutes even. Tenorti, a major high stick.
5-on-3 as a result of that penalty to Tenorti for 1 minute and 42 seconds. That's how much time remains in Churla's penalty. And Mark Tenorti is gone for the tilt.
Dahlquist and Giles conversing over how they're going to handle this. They'll be out, and Broughton will be the other member of the Iron Three. The road back takes at least one small step at first, and Ryan Sutter's hoping this might be it, but it's a long road back. He's got some snipers out there that can connect a couple of times, and on that major you can connect at will, and nobody comes out of the box. Garth Butcher across to Quinn. Hollis shot that went wide. 45 seconds left in the period. Minute and a half of the 5-on-3. Quinn pass in front, and Casey got his stick across so that Oates couldn't answer with his. Paul Cavallini right back over for Oates. At the front is Quinn. They give it to Paul Cavallini again. Then for Oates, flipped one, another shot. Casey blocked that, and the net is launched, and play is stopped.
On a 5-on-3, you have to help yourself, and boy, has Casey ever helped himself so far on this one. First of all, he deflected one to the glass. The Blues ended up getting it back. Paul Cavallini with a slick pass into Adam Oates. Oates tried the pass across to Quinn. Went off Dahlquist's stick, and Casey was left all by himself to have Adam Oates beat away at it. Boy, Adam Oates super transition from picking up the pass on his skate to moving it to his stick, and you saw that he even kept it alive, bouncing it off the shaft of his stick. No problem for John Casey the way he is tonight.
A lot of carryover time into the next period. But Paul Cavallini has trouble handling. Across to Brown, the last 20 of this one. Brown can't get in. Paul Cavallini will try. Broughton slowed it, but Quinn played it. Deflected by Cavallini. Gets it back again from Oates. Feeds it across to Oates. Has Quinn in front. Can't get it there. Dahlquist blocked. Cavallini a shot. And that pinball off a couple of players. And the referee, as the horn sounds to end the second period. Don't dismay, there's going to be more hockey coming up almost immediately. We're going to be going to the Edmonton-Los Angeles series. We may not come back here right away, but we'll keep you updated on any change in the score. At the end of 2 periods, the North Stars lead the Blues 8-2. Let's return to our studios.
Again, Cavallini over to Brown, trying to penetrate. Look out, Loretta, here comes Cavallini. Look at this. Look at this. Right like that, man. 8-3. 8-3, just like that.
Well, Duke, you just called your first NHL goal. How does it feel?
Oh, beauty.
No, you're supposed to say, I want to go to Disney World.
Oh, that's right. I'm going to Disney World.
Well, that takes care of the minor. Now they work off the major. We are going to bring that up at to the league, right? About the mercy rule. You get so many, why you just, that's it?
It's in effect for us.
I guess it is. Okay, so that was at 13 seconds. Any of you on the satellite who have decided not to watch the Edmonton-Los Angeles game, take your temperature because you're not well.
All right, don't worry about backing in, boys. Jeez. St. Louis going to get a bunch here. Watch this. Well, anybody want to shoot? They've had 3 chances to get out of the zone.
Oates at 13 seconds, his 7th of the playoff, second on the power play from Quinn and Paul Cavallini. Oates from Quinn and Paul Cavallini at 13 seconds.
How about this? We got to get this graphic in for the next game. The Blues have scored 34 goals in the playoffs. Brett's been on the ice for 26 of them. Adam's been on the ice for 25 of them.
I like it.
Yeah. I'm keeping track.
2:15 to go in the major.
Yeah.
Oh yes, this is high-tech stuff here. This is 2020 play-by-play.
Blues.
I could do this until I'm 70.
Power play. Blues. Brown. Now Oates. Score! Oh, post.
Yep. Oh, okay. 8-4.
Pretty easy, huh? Just
Nobody
like
comes
that,
out
boy.
on that.
We might be back here before you know it.
All on the major power play.
Trying to wake up, North Stars.
Yeah.
I mean, look at that. 2 guys behind the net, still nobody. Nobody even near them. They're asleep. Bob Gainey might want to call a timeout right now. So what's Hull got? 2.
That's his 10th.
And tonight, I mean,
tonight.
There's
Two goals.
Oates, 2 and 1.
And probably something on this.
That's all. Yeah. 2 and 2.
Yep. The score 1-0 LA. 1-1. Robinson and Hume.
Who's he? A new guy for Edmonton? Bobby Hume. Britt Hume.
Ed Hatoum.
Eddie the Hat Hatoum.
The Hat?
The Hat. That's what was his nickname. Made it a hat because his name is Hatoum.
Oh.
Yeah.
Nice, John. What are you doing here?
The Baghdadian Lebanese, whatever it was called. The Lebanese liability. Lay it on him, Gaetan. Give it to him. All day. Give it to him, Gaetan. Give it to her. Him. Over here. Gaetan, do it, Shane.
Oh.
Watch your head, John. Where did Phil Housley say he was sitting? This section or way down further, I wonder?
His father was in the gray sweater, and I think he's right down there at the top part of the lower section. What? Now then, tripped up by Bugsy Watson, lays it on for Savard, and the backhander went to the boards. Here come the Capitals again. It's Rissling. Drops for Henderson, but that one broken down. Look at this. Oh!
Go yourself, Brian. At least if you're going to make the move, make it the other way.
I know. Who knows how big a goal that one might be?
No question about Brian Bellow's intentions on that one. He wanted it. Has he got 2? Yeah,
right.
He wanted his hat. Jablonski's hard to beat on the deep, boy.
Yeah.
Got great leg speed.
Hey, the darn box is shaking here. Now don't. Go ahead, do the replay there. Through the 5 fingers he got through.
That's right, they got to still work downstairs for the feed. We're supplying the feed here.
Back to us in a minute, okay.
We'll shut up then if you don't want to hear us.
So we're looking at 15 minutes of clock time work here.
Yeah.
Maybe less for commercials.
Maybe go faster.
Basil drew a penalty.
Best dive I've ever seen. Ever.
You played with Bill Barber. How can you say that?
Because it doesn't look like a dive. But Billy's look like dives. Wait till you see this.
Have your sheet.
Watch.
Here at the Met Sports Center, Rich Sutter sent off for tripping at 5:09 just a moment ago, and so the North Stars have gone on to their 8th power play. They are 4 for the previous 7. Gagne a drive, and Jablonski got that one. Can't clear. Gagne, Prop, and Madano. Then over for Wilkinson. Across to Bellows. He was gunning for the hat trick, but it's knocked down. Wilkinson to Prop. Gagne, a shot that went wide. A minute to go on the power play. With it is Gagne. Drive, and that deflected away. Boy, Jablonski must feel like he's in a shooting gallery now. Puck back to Wilkinson. Can't get it ready. Recovers to Gagne. Across, but Garth Butcher read that one and leads it back up for the Blues. Losing to Wilkinson, who rags through traffic nicely. In comes Brian Bellows. Fires, and that went off the glass. Punch back out for the Blues with 13:30 to go in the third period. Minnesota in the lead 8-4 and 35 seconds still to go on the minor to Rich Sutter, but now something on the near side in the fan stand. We're not certain what came about there, but Ron Hogarth seems to be drifting toward the penalty box.
2 minutes for tying your skate here in delay of game. That can't be the penalty. Brian Bellows has taken this opportunity to lace up again, but what have we got? Coincidentals? Yeah, both doors have opened up. Looks like Bob Bassett for the Blues. North Stars continue to pressure. Boy, they came out here at the start of the third period. The Blues very easily scored their 2 power play goals. Hardly any resistance, but now the North Stars on the power. Dave Gagne with a shot. Good save by Pat Jablonski. Jablonski's been good here in the third. He stopped a 2-man breakaway. At one point, Brian Prop and Brian Bellows both came down on him, and Jablonski was able to stop Bellows' attempt for his hat trick.
Bassett and Prop high sticking minors at 6:34. So still 35 seconds to go on the Minnesota power play. Sean Chambers out of suburban Detroit, Michigan, lugs it ahead. Cranks one around the wall. Jablonski stopped it and caught it. Steers it across for the dump out for Adam Oates. But it is Glenn, who is also looking for the hat trick in this game. One for Basil McRae, who is not. Puck tipped across now for Chambers. Chambers plays it ahead for Shane Churla. Churla over for McRae. McRae pivoting, pestered from behind by Paul Cavallini. Puck scoots to Oates, then on across for Jeff Brown. Teams are back at full strength now. Moving it is Brown back for Rich Sutter. Tipped away, and Basil McRae wheels back out. Paul Cavallini has dropped back on defense. McRae pestered by Rich Sutter. They go to the boards, and McRae spun around. It is Paul Cavallini bringing it back. Hands it on the wing for Jeff Brown. Drops back for Oates to Hull. A shot went wide, and a rocket missed. And then Dahlquist rammed into a man behind. That was Gino Cavallini, who wanted a penalty call but didn't get it. Now Dahlquist able to play it away for the North Stars. Bringing it back out. Poke checked away from him. Bobby Smith kicks to control and spins it back out. Offside pass call. Clock stopped. With 12:04 to go in the third period. North Stars leading 8-4. Let's pause for a moment.
Let's pause.
That was done for Rupert and Charles, who are watching at home.
Huh.
What kind of dogs are those? English Spaniel or something?
Cockers.
Maybe they are. I don't know.
Joe Cocker Spaniels. I think Brian Sutter said it best yesterday when he said nothing is coming easy, but that's been the story all season long. In spite of the 105 points that the Blues were able to put together, Brian Sutter really feels that they acquired their 105 points the hard way. They had to swim upstream a lot of the regular season, and boy, they had to do it in the playoffs.
It is Craig shuffling to Madonna. He's gunning for the hat trick too. 8-2, or check that, 8-4, Minnesota ahead. That one turned right in front of Banning on a backhand rebound attempt was Kimball, or it would have been 8-5. Brought back out by Madonna. One man back, it's Butcher, but no one else along with him just yet. Madonna looking for Gagne, breezing in, and it's spiked away by Scott Stevens. 28 shots Blues, 29 shots North Stars, midway in the third period. Minnesota by 4, but it was by 6. Featherstone couldn't reach that one. Instead, it's Bobby Smith starting on. Smith wants to go it alone here, trying the outside. North Stars are in the midst of a change, and so not much help for him. Blues just flip it back out, and it hops right near Bobby Smith, who boots it on back for Kurt Giles to take. Giles brings it ahead, rolls it right back into the St. Louis zone. Shift change on. And bringing this one is Featherstone, handing it across for Marois. Crowd chanting Blues are stuck, something like that, as Bobby Smith lays one ahead. Then back up for Gavin to punch out. Laid across for Rich Sutter to trickle toward the net. Bounced right in on Casey, and he'll hang on. 10:26 to go in the third. Minnesota in the lead by 4.
Blues are stuck. That's what they were yelling.
Yeah, I thought so.
Well, the Blues now are going to try and become the New York Islanders of 1974. 75, rather. John Casey better get ready to see all kinds of forwards and defensemen coming right at him. Scott Stevens jammed this one in front to Rod Brindamore. Kimball just couldn't get the handle on it. Had a wide open net. Look at Scott Stevens, number 2 of the Blues, right there in the crease. They're opening it up now.
Blues will have to chase it back. There have been 8 power play goals in this game, 4 aside. An NHL record for Stanley Cup play. 7 had been done several times, last by Vancouver and Calgary in 1989. But we have 8 tonight. 4 for 8 are the Minnesota North Stars, and the Blues power play, which had gone completely asleep, is done well now. And they nearly get goal 5, but John Casey shut the door. And Quinn was going for his first goal of the game.
So much more room now for the Blues around John Casey. This has turned into a non-hitting game, and as soon as you stop hitting, well, I'll tell you what, the forwards get real aggressive getting around the net. Kelly Chase was tied up momentarily, but see Bobby Smith, number 18? Well, he's got to read once Chase is covered. There's another guy around, and that has to be Dan Quinn. Bobby Smith was looking for the rebound instead of looking for Dan Quinn. So the scoring chance was put together for the Blues.
Who's figured on all 4 St. Louis goals with 2 goals and 2 assists tonight. Comes to the bench perhaps for a change, or maybe just to change sticks. No, just a word of advice, and so back out he'll go. Hall will be out there with him, and Gino Cavallini. Brown and Stevens will be in back. Teams are at full strength. North Stars ahead 8-4. They got 3 in the first, then the Blues answered. Then the North Stars got 2 sandwiched around one of the Blues in the first 10 minutes and 13 seconds of the second. At that point, 5-2, but then they unloaded for 3 straight goals in the last half of that second period. 2 of them on the power play to apparently salt things away, though the Blues are making something of it here with a couple of power play goals early in the third of their own. Duchesne a shot. That one hit skates. Scott Stevens was able to knock it down. Pivoting with this is Neil Broughton. Stolen from him by Oates and nudged ahead to Gino Cavallini. Tries for Hull, but in the way Kurt Giles. Taken away by Oates. Offside. Just a little hook by Broughton on Oates slowed him down and forced his winger to go in early. We welcome those of you who have been watching on Sports Channel New York. 9:23 to go in the third period. Minnesota with the lead over the St. Louis Blues by a count of 8-4. A happy crowd, young and old, here tonight at the Met Sports Center. 15,472 will be the attendance. They have no more seats than that. Their capacity enlarged by about 400 from the start of the season. And a lot of people laughed, well, why do you expand? Well, there's no laughing about that now. They do not sell standing room here. They really don't believe in that. Oftentimes, standing room customers really are in the way of some of the people who have seats. And so they've decided with the design of their building and also with the ethics they want to operate, they're not going to sell standing room. Fans singing the Na 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 song, bidding goodbye to the Blues. The two teams will head back to St. Louis for a fifth game. 8:40 to go in the third. Minnesota ahead by 4. Puck tipped ahead. Rolled on for Mahar, but picked off by Wilkinson and sailed back down. Bureau will be the first there, so Jablonski will fling it off the glass. Basil McRae run into, and McRae comes back to run into Gino Cavallini, but with restraint. Flip to the ice, and down with Shane Churla. A charging penalty coming up. Let's pause for this regional break. You're watching the Stanley Cup playoffs on Sports Channel.
Hey, Basil's kind of surrounded over there. Where's the posse? Oh, yeah, trying to trick me. So what time you leave in the morning, Bri? Beautiful. All right.
There they are.
Coming back on this. They love Basil McRae here. What a creative way to show it, too. 5 guys with a collective body fat of 4.2%. Each grabbed a letter, took turns painting on one another. Basil's headed off. The original call was boarding to Shane Churla. He tried to take out Rich Sutter in a big way. Missed him. Got called for boarding. And then Basil locked up with a number of Blues, and it looks like Rich Sutter is going to be the guy that goes off. There's Churla right there going at Rich Sutter. Boy, Churla got the worst of it. Oh, I thought it was Rich Sutter that he had hit. It was actually Scott Stevens. This is down in front of us. We're using a shot from behind the net.
Well, Churla, you may have noticed just as we were taking a break, thrust out with the stick in the direction of Dave Lowry. And so he has gotten an additional double minor for spearing on top of the charging. When it all filters down, it'll be a 6-minute power play for the St. Louis Blues. Here it is 8-4, Minnesota midway in the third. Coming up next, the Oilers and the Kings. We return you now to our studios.
Sure trying to make it interesting, aren't they?
Yeah.
Can we take mixed minus out, please, guys? Thank you. That's okay. No, it's all right.
Well, it sure is.
Me. Boy, that big, tall beer looks good coming up the stairs, Doc.
Where?
That guy's got 2 of them there. Ooh.
They probably paid $8.50 for one that size.
I'd pay 18.5 right now. Kind of the money here.
What do you mean?
Oh, you mean right now for our open or whatever? Well, Oates and Hull, they're sure doing their thing, boy. We didn't talk about Oates for a while. He's done 2 tonight. Why not do Adam Oates? What do you think, Doc?
No, he means to ISO 1 right now.
Yeah, but to get footage down for our open, our tees, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Adam Oates?
Yeah.
He's been huge here tonight.
Better than Hull, I think.
Yeah.
In terms of picking out a guy.
Yeah. Got him sitting on the bench waiting for his next shift. Wait for the shot to come. There's a good play. Don't even go for that puck. Take the body, Neil. Attaboy. C'est John Casey qui vient de faire le bel arrêt, le lancer de Garth Butcher. C'est Adam Oates qui était devant le but. How about isoing on Norm Green?
Yeah, they're chanting Norm now. Well, they told me that the capacity was 150 more than that. And they also said every seat was sold.
Did he lie?
There may be some audio video together out of this isolation of the Blues bench, just to show, you know, that the coach isn't quitting, that you may be able to use the tees.
I love the tees tonight.
That's Lisa's creation.
I love our open too. Everything worked. was outside right there, was. Oh, Paul forgot the clothesline was up. Like running through a backyard at 10 p.m. on a summer night with your sneakers on and your t-shirt on and you're 9 years old and the clothesline catches you right under the throat. I forgot that clothesline was there. You got that on tape too to put in with the Oates montage.
Good thing it was Curtin, not somebody that's real vindictive out there.
That's dangerous for him. Remember Brad Marsh with his head on the ice at the Spectrum hitting that area? You know I love you. You know I love you. Oh yeah, what a retaliation by Stevenson.
Long turns it up to Bob Plager. Plager watched by Charlie Burns, moves it across.
To brother Bob, looking for Berenson wide. Now Gary Sabrin over on the right side. Frank
I knew all I had to do was get you started.
Because I remember all the names of the guys that year. Frank St. Marseille. Now then Dean Prentice pedaling back into his own zone, looking for Tom Reed. Finds him, Reed up the side, intercepted by St. Marseille. Over to Noel Picard, back to Bob Plager, in on the side to Gary Sabrin. They're trying to find Berenson in front. The shot, blocked by young Dennis O'Brien. Of course, I had 14 guys out there on one shift.
That's okay, it doesn't matter. Who can see the numbers anyway? Go ahead.
Oh, now Fred Barrett behind the net. Struggling to get it away from
Gassoff.
From Phil Roberto on the Blues. Floyd Thompson now with control. Dumps in front. Roberto can't handle. Back to Picard. Over to Moose Dupont. They're looking for Jack Eagers this time. The shot by Eagers. And Roberto and Thompson can't find the rebound.
That Cesar is good, isn't he?
Yeah. Especially with the dressing. And Caesar with the anchovies makes the save.
Neal's played a really good game, you know.
Yeah, he has.
Well, they can light the cigar on this one. 3 seconds still to kill and 2:19 to go. Gosh, Neal, where did you get it? Oh, this is the one with Giles, isn't it?
Watch this.
Hello, mother. Go ahead, Murray Oliver.
Oh, slick skating Murray Oliver now over to Bill Goldsworthy looking for Judy Druin. J.B. Parise now comes on for Al Oliver. Make that Murray. Tom Reed back into his own zone. Pass cut by Wayne Merrick. He played pretty well for St. Louis. He was a big gun.
Even strength, 1:40 to go. Okay, politicians now.
What?
New politicians play.
Playing?
Canada versus the U.S. You know the Canadian guys.
Oh, yeah. Okay, now Lester B. Pearson up the right side looking for Diefenbaker breaking wide. Can't find him. Dumps it in. John Turner on the forecheck now. Looking for help.
Gordon Liddy able to hang on to that one and waits for a face-off.
A politician.
He was in politics. In pretty deep, too.
And Sirhan with the shot.
Oh, no.
pretty good body check.
Tough when you're Brian Glenn, you get 2 goals and you don't even get one. I know. As usual, the forwards got them all. Overpaid, underworld, bastards.